Let me start from the beginning. We were a happy family before the Christmas of 2021, when it all began.
While I was dying from COVID, my own mother turned my children against me.
What? Oh my. What? Do you know it's coming out December the 22nd? What? The Matrix? The Matrix? Oh yeah.
Yes. And we danced from the front door all the way up the steps. See? We were happy. Okay, let's pause here.
It started when I was young, and we only had a floor model TV in the middle of it. If I wanted to watch TV, I watched whatever was on, and it was usually what my mom picked. Saturday morning westerns or Sunday evening Star Treks, and I mean all of them. Now, it did not just stop with watching the show. She discussed each one in depth. She acted out the scenes of the westerns. Pew, 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 pew. Hey, buddy, what you doing in these parks? My mother and several Bible scholars would sit around the table after church and discuss how the latest episode of Star Trek and why it was so relevant in today's scripture and parallel to today's spiritual walk. Yep, that was my life, my childhood. She created this. She created this. Now fast forward, 1997. The first installation of The Matrix. After watching this groundbreaking movie, we talked about the major significance for weeks. Okay, yeah, that was for the dramatic effect. We even acted out the scenes in the middle of Home Depot right afterwards. So much so people came up to us and discussed the movie with us. Hey, she created this. She created this.
And because I am a Star Trek Trekkie, Star Trek was one of my episodes, or one of my TV shows that I watched. And one of the characters on there, Lieutenant Uhura, she was an absolute one that I anticipated seeing every time, and I wanted to see her. Lieutenant Uhura was a graceful, beautiful, dark-skinned woman, and she was impeccable in her speech and impeccable in, and she was just absolutely. Just had a stage presence, and she was very poised at her job. I just loved it. When I saw that, there was one thing that I do remember me associating that, and that was my birth mother, Irma. Irma she was a dancer and an actress, and she was trying to make her way in the entertainment world. And she was very poised, very beautiful, and very a black woman. And when I saw Lieutenant Uhura, yes, and I remember Lieutenant Uhura. This is one thing, is that she went from having straight hair to she actually had an afro on the show. I mean, what? And she was beautiful. And so I loved it. I loved it.
Now that you're all caught up, let's fast forward and let's get back to how she turned my own children against their own mama.
Oh no, baby. I'll take care of you and your children. I'm praying for you. I'll bring you some food. As I looked on the screen, I realized then, no one loves me. And they're all traitors. They're all traitors. So I watched it by myself. Have you seen the movie Nope? Nope.
Several times.
Dante said several times.
Several
Dante,
times.
please explain to me, why did you see the movie Nope several times, and what did you think about it?
So why I watched it several times? I'm a film nerd, and it's one of those films that has like a classical appeal. So I like to unpack films. I like to watch films and rewind while I'm watching. After the second or third few watches, I like to go back and kind of just look for Easter eggs.
And I know what an Easter egg is.
Okay, so I love that term.
I can tell when you're given a technical term, and I don't want to assume that.
The term Easter egg. So we all know Easter egg hunt, right?
Right.
Easter eggs, are they always in the open, or are they hidden?
Got it. Okay.
Right, you're looking for little Easter eggs that they kind of hid there for you to find.
I love it.
Yep.
So I do like that. You could see that from it. Even in the first 20, 30 minutes of the movie, they established Black culture beautifully. I mean, the one scene, now what I did see that I absolutely loved was when she was setting up their family history, when she was talking about the great one more great grandfather. That, and so it made me look it up, right? Because that's who I am. And so movies that make me do that, even if I didn't get the entire movie, one thing I know is I got something from it.
Right.
And I appreciate a movie that makes me want to look up history. That I appreciate a movie.
The Last Dragon's like final scene, like not the final scene, but like the final fight scene, where Bruce Leroy is fighting Show Enough, and like there's that when he's like drowning him, and he's like, "Who's the man? Who's the master? Bow. Who's the master?" And he looks at him, he goes, "Me." And like he get the glow, and it's just like, "You are the last dragon," and like all the music hits. It's just like, yes, like in immediate, like nobody's doing villainy like that. Like, cause it was a chance to see like a Black villain that was like comedic, that came from. You could tell this was like a Black person was involved in the writing room. May not have been like fully scoped out by us, but my goodness, you could tell somebody was like, "No, this is how this would actually happen. This is how we, like if this was a scenario, this is how it would be."
All right, the most effed up part about this, when we're going through the square and it fades to that little white image of the horse.
Okay.
That was an image. That's the very first motion picture.
Okay.
And I knew that immediately, and I said, "Oh, it's gonna be this type of movie, right?"
Love it.
And
See
so,
that? Yeah.
and then they established them being part of that kind of royalty of Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? Now, in real life, nobody knows the name of that Black rider. That's all film mythology. They had to extrapolate that themselves.
Right. And they created the backstory after that.
Exactly,
Right.
because and I think this is. Can we touch it? All right, the most effed up part about this, and it's effed up, and when I drop this gem, you gonna understand why it's effed up. So I knew that the name of the guy was Edward Moybridge. That's the photographer. That's the guy who took the image. You know about the reason why they started taking images, because some guy wrote a drawing and he wanted to prove that what he said about how horses ran, and that at a certain point all four hooves are off the ground.
Okay.
That was what they were trying to prove. So they know what scientists asked for that, right? They know the horse's name.
But they don't know
They
the
don't know
writer.
the black writer. You know what I'm saying?
But that tells
That's
it,
deep right
that
there.
story within itself tells you a lot about Hollywood.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's the reason for this platform right here is to highlight those who are overlooked, left behind, not written in the credits, not talked about, not discussed, not appreciated, and not getting their flowers while they're living. And that is the reason why.
So I think when we talk about us kind of left me, it wasn't closed-ended, but it did lead me to kind of think about other things or other possibilities that could have happened. Like with, I forget the young lady's character's name, but you know, it was like the whole flip and switch. Yeah, the whole flip and switch and everything. And it just kind of left me continuously thinking, I like that. Nope, didn't give me that. You know, Get Out. It was definitely close-ended. But in a way it wasn't though, right?
I think nothing is going to match that first Matrix. Not Reloaded, not Resurrections, not Revolution, like none of it. Because the impact of that first movie was so much larger than just like, oh, this is a dope movie. Like everybody suddenly wanted black trench coats. And like everybody was like, I'm jacked in. And like all like everybody
like yo, and then like even looking at the sequels, like you then get Nairobi and like the Nebuchadnezzar, and like there start to be all these like hints to like African and like black culture like strewn throughout the films. There's like all this like a lot of like Asian like culture slid in, and like yo like but it all starts with that foundation of the first movie. And
I think The Matrix Resurrections gets 2 teacups because I personally believe the people who were making the film wanted to try to stay involved in it and not have Warner Brothers make one without them. I think there's like probably some very intense politics involved with the making of this movie, and a lot of that showed up in the film. Like it's super meta. Like we're talking meta. Like the movie is playing in the movie, and like there's like a scene where they're pitching like different ideas for this Matrix video game, and in that scene they're like, well, we just want to do it so that we can remain involved. And it's like, yeah, that's the director talking directly to the audience.